It's almost spring. Is the Rapid City real estate market gonna pick up? Hey everybody, it's Tristan Emond with Mindful Living Realty, a realtor right here in Rapid City, South Dakota, the gateway to the Black Hills. Typically in Rapid City in January and February, after we get through the holidays and it gets cold and dreary and everybody just is waiting for spring, the real estate market tends to kind of sluggishly move along. And that has been the case over the past few months. While there was 115 homes sold in December, there was only 59 sold in January and went back up to about 90 in February. And this is, of course, residential properties in Rapid City and the surrounding areas. So we are starting to see things kind of gradually speed up a little bit, especially with the really nice weather that we've been having. I have seen a few agents post their listings and also say under contract in 4 days. So we are seeing a few homes that are selling relatively quickly off the market. Usually these are the ones that are priced right and, the right location. But those sales are the exceptions and not necessarily the rule at this point. I've also seen posts by some mortgage brokers in town that have talked about seeing more people, having more appointments. And I've had more calls and meetings in the past 3 months than I had all 6 months last year. Part of this is more and more people coming to Ellsworth Air Force Base as we transition more into the new mission. I have 2 clients I'm working with right now that are coming on June 1st. However, things are really weird now in the economy. We've got tariffs. We've got all sorts of weird things happening that we don't know what's going to happen with. Interest rates went down a little bit the past few days, but they're still hanging out in the 6.5 to 7% range. And while a lot of economists are predicting those rates to come down during the year, they're not expecting them to come down a whole lot. If we get into the mid fives, I think I'd be very, very surprised if we're in that range, even like the middle of next year. Typically, once we start seeing green grass, we get more homes on the market, people are thinking about buying and selling a lot more, and we usually have a very busy spring market in the Rapid City area. Will that continue this year with those things that I just mentioned? At the moment, it sure appears like we'll have a busy spring market this year, just like every other. So let's jump into the single family average sold prices for the past 3 months to get a feel of where home prices are going. All these prices are greater than the same time last year. So we are seeing some continuous growth in our prices in the Rapid City area. In December, the average sale price for single family homes in the Rapid City and surrounding area was about $425,500. That went up to $443,000 in January. And look at this, dropped down to $412,750 in February. Now, while that average sale price did come down considerably from January to February, that February number at 412 is still 3% higher than February of 2024. And this is a similar trend for new construction as well. In December, the average new construction sale was about $420,500. That went up to about $421,000 and then dropped down to $414,000 in February. Interestingly enough, the average sale prices of the December and January new construction numbers are down from 2024 new construction sale numbers. So are we starting to see a little bit of a downward trend in home sale prices in Rapid City in the next couple months? I guess we'll find out and see what happens with that spring market. Are we still in a seller's market or are we finally getting into a buyer's market? With an average days on market on February 2025 being 50 versus 38 in 2024, we did start seeing things over the past few months sit on the market a little bit longer. Is there enough homes on the market to satisfy all the buyers that are there looking at properties? To do this, we figure out the absorption rate. So we look at the past 6 months of sales, figure out how many sales that was per month, and divide that by the present active properties. From September 2024 through February 2025, that's about a 6-month time frame, 605 homes sold in the Rapid City area. On March 10th, there were 338 active properties for sale in the Rapid City area. So if you take the monthly homes sold, 600-ish divided by 6, so that's about 100 homes sold per month, and divide that into the active numbers, that gives us about 3.4 months of inventory available if we were to sell at the same rate and no other homes came active on the market. This still puts us in the seller's market. It gets to be balanced about 6 months, and after 6 months, we get into a buyer's market. Now, you could play with this formula. For example, if you were in the over $1 million category and you just took those homes, you would probably get more than 6 months inventories in that sector. So those homes are in a buyer's market. But taking the area with a 6-month time frame is kind of the standard way to look at it to give a feel for buyer's and seller's market in general. If you're thinking about selling your home this spring, now is the perfect time to get all that inside stuff done. Start cleaning things, start painting things, start cleaning out the closets and decluttering things, giving things away to the mission, so that when you are ready to list, once everything gets green and the flowers come out, you're ready to go and don't have to spend an extra month doing that stuff to make sure your home is as nice as possible for sale on the market. While the numbers indicate that we are in a seller's market, you still want to do everything possible to make sure that the home is as move-in ready as possible. That will give you the best chance for the best offer for your property from a buyer. If you're a little bit lost on what to do or not to do, give me a call, let me know. I'll come by and tell you, yes, maybe take care of that, but that's going to be too expensive. For example, you're not going to replace all your cabinets because you're not going to get your money back out of that by the time everything's said and done. However, maybe we go through and we replace the cabinet pulls. Maybe that will update the kitchen enough to make it look a lot better. There's that cost versus reward kind of thing when it comes to selling your property. You're not going to get dollar for dollar on your upgrade value back out for everything that you put into it. For example, when you paint your property, you might spend $1,000 on that. But the impact that makes on the property, how great it looks like when people come in the door, they're going to pay more than $1,000 more for that paint just because of that showing factor. So give me a call. Let me look at your property. I'll give you a list of things to do in order of preference, maybe order of importance. And maybe if you don't get the bottom ones done, maybe we still put it on the market. Buyers, yes, I know interest rates are high. They look like they're sticking around. Obviously, the options such as buy downs and things are still on the table, and we can still talk about those things. And if you want new construction, Hillsview Homes, they're offering sometimes some substantial discounts, especially at certain times of the year if you hit it just right, where you might be able to save some money on not only the purchase price, but also potentially on some of the interest rates. Plus, we're getting more and more homes that are built around the $300,000, $350,000 mark that you could get into a new construction home if, some of the other homes that you're looking at aren't what you're thinking about. They're probably going to be small, and chances are you're going to have to put your own yard in, do your own landscaping, buy some new curtains, all those things. But there might be some great opportunities in the new construction world in the Rapid City area. Now, what if you waited until next year? What does that look like as far as the numbers are concerned? I went and looked at our average home sale prices from 2022 to 2023 to 2024. From 2022 to 23, we had about a 2% increase in home prices in Rapid City. But then from 23 to 24, we had an 8% increase in prices. So let's make it easy and say we have a 5% annual increase of home prices year over year over year. Right now, our present interest rate's at about 6.75%. If you bought a $400,000 home at that rate, your monthly payment, just the payment and the interest, would be about $2,600. Now, if you take that $400,000 home that you could buy this year for $400,000. By next year, you add the 5% on top of that. That's worth $420,000. And then let's hope that the interest rates by that time are down to 6%. $420,000 at 6% is about $2,500 per month, giving you a savings of about $76 per month just with that interest rate going down that much, even with the higher price point. If by some miracle we're down to 5.5%, that $420,000 home, that is a payment of $2,384. So you saved about $200 per month. So you can see by looking at this information that if those interest rates are actually softer next year, you might still save a little bit of money on your monthly payment, provided, of course, that those home prices don't go up 10 or 12% instead. I know this is a lot of ifs and buts, but this is just to kind of give you an idea of what it might look like. However, if you're thinking about waiting 5 years, let's check that out. So at 5% every year, that $400,000 home in 5 years will be about $510,000. If that interest rate remains at 6.75%, that payment's about $32.25 a month, which is $600 more a month than it would have been if you would have bought it 5 years ago. If that interest rate gets down to 6%, that's about $30.50, which is still about $400 more per month than it was in 5 years ago. Now you might be saying, Tristan, I'm just waiting for a recession. I'm waiting for the housing market to crash, something like that. But remember, during the 2008 housing crash market, our prices went down about 6% when the rest of the country went down 50 to 6%. So I would anticipate that remains the same. Even if there is some kind of recession or housing crash, we're not going to see a huge decrease in value at that time. From an investment standpoint, what I've generally heard is that people that bought sooner rather than later were happier because of the increase in home prices and the way things have been going. That's really easy for me to say back here sitting behind the camera when I bought my house in 2008 at 2.75%. But if a home purchase is on your radar, remember that you don't need a whole 20% down. You could probably buy a house with 5% down. Do what you need to do to get your credit score in a great place. And don't hesitate to reach out to me. Let's talk about your goals, your dreams, and see what we can do for you. Even maybe get a lender involved to help you out with that financial piece. Since 2012, home values in the Rapid City area have increased year over year over year. and I really don't expect that to change anytime soon. If you'd like to chat with me about buying or selling a property in Rapid City or the Black Hills, hit me up. I've got a really easy form to fill out on my website. I'll put that link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Have an amazing day, and remember, love where you live.